If you're a man over 60, or even approaching it, every habit you've built around your body, your pleasure, and your emotional state is shaping your prostate health more than you realize. It's not just about how often you masturbate, but how you do it. And what if I told you that one of the most common ways men masturbate, something almost every guy has done at some point, is quietly damaging their prostate? As a urologist, I've had countless men come into my office confused. They feel tightness, strange post-ejaculatory discomfort, or pelvic pressure that won't go away. Some even begin experiencing erectile changes or urinary dysfunction. But their labs are clean, there's no obvious infection, and they leave wondering if the problem is just in their head. It's not. The problem is in their pattern. In this video, I'm begging you to stop this one habit before it quietly chips away at your health. Because the way you touch yourself, especially when done with tension, pressure, or shame, can train your body into chronic dysfunction. And that's just the beginning. I'll also reveal 7 subtle behaviors most men never connect to prostate issues, but that could be making everything worse. The good news? Every single one of them is fixable. Let's begin. Before we get started, make sure to click subscribe and tap the bell icon. That way, you'll always stay updated with practical tips made specifically for your health journey. And if you're finding this helpful so far, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. Your feedback helps me improve what I share with you. 1. Masturbation isn't the problem, but how you do it might be. Masturbation is one of the most natural and instinctive acts a man can engage in. From adolescence to older age, it often becomes a quiet form of stress relief, self-exploration, or just a way to wind down. And medically speaking, it can offer several benefits, from improving sleep to maintaining healthy prostate function and reducing the buildup of seminal fluid. But here's what most men never hear. The act itself isn't harmful. It's the way you're doing it that might be silently harming your body. As a urologist, I've sat across from hundreds of men who were in pain, confused, and ashamed. They didn't drink excessively. They didn't have risky sexual habits. They felt healthy enough. Yet they experienced strange pressure in their pelvis, burning after ejaculation, discomfort during urination, or even a sharp drop in sexual pleasure. And more often than not, the common thread wasn't disease. It wasn't infection. It was tension. Most men masturbate in secrecy, often quickly, and with a mindset of performance rather than connection. Whether it's influenced by pornography, shame, stress, or simple habit, the body learns to associate the experience with clenching, forcing, and rushing. The shoulders hunch. The pelvic muscles tighten. Breathing becomes shallow or is held entirely. And instead of the body entering a relaxed state of release, it's trapped in one of strain, over and over again. This pattern builds silently. Every time you reinforce it, you're not just climaxing, you're also training your nervous system and your pelvic floor to stay in a chronic state of tension. Over time, this can cause inflammation around the prostate, hypersensitivity in the pelvic nerves, and dysfunction in the muscles that support ejaculation, urination, and even erection. But here's the thing, no one teaches men this. We're told how often is too much or too little, but we're rarely taught how to relate to our own bodies with curiosity, patience, and awareness. And so what should be a source of comfort and renewal becomes, gradually, a source of discomfort, confusion, and emotional disconnection. I'm not here to shame you, I'm here to help you understand something no one may have ever told you. Your method matters more than your frequency. You may be trying to relieve pressure, but if your body is clenching with every touch, you may be creating even more. And it's not just your prostate paying the price, your sense of masculinity, confidence, and inner calm is affected too. Now here's the part that most men never realize, and it could be the missing piece behind years of unexplained pelvic tension or pain. What if the very way you're touching yourself is what's keeping your body stuck in stress? Let's talk about that next. Because once you understand how pelvic tension forms and how to break the cycle, everything changes. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. The number 1 most common mistake: over-tightening your pelvic floor. If there's one habit I see over and over again in men struggling with unexplained pelvic discomfort, tension, or even post-ejaculatory pain, it's this: they've unknowingly trained their pelvic floor to stay clenched. What begins as an unconscious reaction to arousal slowly becomes a deeply embedded pattern of strain. And for most men, it happens without them ever realizing it. The pelvic floor is a group of muscles that support the bladder, prostate, and sexual organs. It's not something most men think about, and yet it's involved in nearly every function tied to male health: urination, erection, ejaculation, even the ability to relax and feel pleasure. These muscles are designed to contract and release in rhythm, responding naturally to your state of arousal and relaxation. But here's where things go wrong. From an early age, especially when sexual exploration is wrapped in secrecy or guilt, many boys learn to masturbate in a way that hides or hurries the experience. They grip tightly, rush toward climax, and tense their core, not out of intention but instinct. Over time, this becomes the default setting: tight abs, clenched thighs, shallow breathing, braced pelvis. You may think this is harmless. It's not. This repeated tension puts constant pressure on the prostate, compressing it and the nerves around it. Over weeks, months, or years, that strain builds. The muscles that were meant to move freely now stay semi-contracted even at rest. The nerves that were designed to carry pleasure now carry discomfort. Blood flow becomes restricted. The prostate gets irritated, and suddenly something that once felt effortless, like urination, sex, or orgasm, feels difficult, frustrating, or painful. I've had men sit across from me with tears in their eyes saying, "I don't know what's wrong, I used to be fine." And when we peel back the layers, there's no infection, no tumor, no structural defects, and just a body stuck in tension, begging for release. The truth is, your body remembers what you teach it. And if every act of intimacy is paired with clenching and bracing, your pelvic floor never learns how to let go. That's why so many men walk around feeling heavy, tight, or on edge in their lower bodies without ever connecting it to how they're masturbating or experiencing arousal. But here's the good news. You can reverse it. You can retrain your body to relax, reset, and release, not just during climax, but throughout the day. The first step is awareness. The second is learning what relaxation actually feels like. Because once you understand that relaxation isn't weakness, it's the foundation of sexual vitality and prostate health, everything begins to shift. And yet, even for men who manage to break free from pelvic tension, there's one more trap waiting, a trap rooted not in the body but in the mind. It's the belief that you have to perform, to prove something, to be in control at all times. Let's talk about that next, because the pressure to perform might just be the reason you're disconnected from pleasure and damaging your prostate without knowing it. 3. Stop treating masturbation like a performance. Somewhere along the way, many men were taught, implicitly or directly, that sexuality is about performance. That climax is a goal to chase. That lasting longer, finishing faster, feeling more intense orgasms, or measuring up somehow equates to being more masculine, more capable, more worthy. It's no wonder that even in private, when no one is watching, so many men treat masturbation not as self-care but as a test. They rush, they grip harder, they force the climax. They mimic what they've seen in porn or what they believe a real man should be, and in doing so, they unknowingly disconnect from the very thing they're trying to cultivate: pleasure, presence, and peace. This performance-based mindset doesn't just affect the mind, it creates tension in the body. The nervous system switches into a sympathetic fight-or-flight state. Muscles brace, breathing becomes shallow, the pelvic floor locks up, and the prostate is caught in a physiological environment it was never meant to operate in. Orgasm stops being a release and becomes a goal, a strain, even a source of subtle anxiety. I've spoken with men who have no problem achieving climax, but they walk away from the experience feeling empty, unsatisfied, or strangely tense. Others feel pressure or discomfort after ejaculating and wonder if something is wrong. Often the issue isn't physical at all, it's behavioral. Their bodies have been conditioned to climax under stress, not serenity. What's tragic is how common this is, and how little we talk about it. As a society, we glorify sexual achievement but ignore the emotional and physiological cost of constantly striving. We forget that the body doesn't respond best to pressure. It responds to presence. When you treat masturbation like a race, your body starts to resist the very act it's trying to complete. Your pleasure becomes dulled, your prostate becomes overworked, and your nervous system begins to associate sexual arousal with stress rather than safety. But when you begin to see masturbation as something more, an act of connection, not performance, everything shifts. You slow down, you breathe deeper, you feel more, and in that space, your body finally gets what it's been craving all along. A release without resistance, a moment of stillness within sensation. This isn't about being less of a man, it's about being more in tune with what your body actually needs. Not harder, not faster, not longer, just more honest, more human, more relaxed. So the next time you find yourself alone, ask, am I trying to perform or am I trying to connect? Because when you choose connection, you're not only healing your relationship with pleasure, you're healing your prostate. But even when the mindset changes, one thing often remains: tension in the body. Not just during climax, but throughout the act itself. And for many men, it's not just mental stress, it's a physical habit so deeply ingrained they don't even know it's happening. Let's go deeper into that next, because what your body is doing during climax may be silently keeping you in pain. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. The solution: mindful, relaxed masturbation. If tension is the silent destroyer of your pelvic health, then relaxation is your medicine. And mindful self-touch is the prescription no one ever gave you. For years, I've seen men carry the weight of unspoken frustration about their bodies. They feel disconnected. Sex feels mechanical. Masturbation feels like a routine, not a release. Many don't even realize how numb they've become, not because they've lost desire, but because they've lost presence. You see, the body responds not just to what you do, but how you do it. The same act, masturbation, can be healing or harmful depending on the state you bring to it. When your nervous system is in fight or flight mode, your muscles are tight, your breathing is shallow, and your mind is chasing an outcome. Your body simply can't settle into pleasure. The prostate, surrounded by nerve endings and muscle fibers, feels that stress like a ripple through the entire pelvic basin. But something incredible happens when you slow down. When you shift your intention from release to relax, when you stop chasing a goal and start listening to your body like you would to a trusted friend, your breath deepens, your muscles soften, your mind quiets, and your body finally lets go in a way that doesn't just bring climax, but brings relief. This is what I mean by mindful masturbation. Not something strange or spiritual, not something performative or trendy. Just a conscious return to what this act was always meant to be, a form of care, not control. It starts simple. Let your body soften before you even begin. Feel where you're holding tension in your hips, belly, thighs, and let it go. Breathe not just as background noise, but as a way of anchoring into your body. Touch yourself the way you would touch someone you love, gently, curiously, without expectation. Let arousal build, not as a race, but as a wave you ride with ease. The truth is, your body knows how to heal. Your nervous system is capable of rewiring. Your prostate can recover, but you have to give it the right conditions, and that means stepping away from pressure, clenching, rushing, or judgment. For many men, this is the first time they've ever been invited to experience their own bodies this way. No pressure to perform, no shame for feeling too much or too little, just space to be. And when they do, the results are powerful. More sensation, less pain, deeper satisfaction, and a sense of calm that extends far beyond the bedroom. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. When men start practicing relaxed, mindful self-touch, another layer of awareness begins to emerge, a recognition of how often their body is tense even when they're not aroused. That constant low-grade clenching isn't just a bedroom problem, it's following them through life. Let's explore that next, because chronic pelvic tension might be showing up in ways you've never connected, and your prostate could be quietly paying the price. 5. Watch for these warning signs of prostate stress. One of the most difficult truths I've had to share with patients is this: the body often whispers long before it screams. And when it comes to the prostate, those whispers can be subtle. So subtle that many men dismiss them, brush them aside, or try to explain them away. But those minor signals, the dull ache, the strange pressure, the occasional burning, are not random. They're your body asking for attention before it demands it. In my practice, I've sat across from men in their 30s, 40s, even early 60s who told me the same thing in different words. I thought it was nothing. They noticed a bit of discomfort after climax, or they felt a strange tightness near the base of the penis, an odd sensation that would come and go. Some reported changes in the way they urinated, a weaker stream, more urgency, more trips to the bathroom at night, but they chalked it up to aging, stress, dehydration, or just one of those things. But the truth is, these are not flukes. They're not your imagination. They are early warning signs that your prostate and the pelvic structures around it are under stress. And like any part of the body exposed to chronic tension or inflammation, the prostate will eventually respond with dysfunction if ignored. Here's the problem. Most of us were never taught to listen to our bodies in this way. We were told to tough it out, to power through, to only ask for help when the pain becomes unbearable. But that model doesn't serve us anymore, especially when it comes to a gland as sensitive and reactive as the prostate. Prostate stress often shows up in quiet, creeping ways. A sense of pressure in the perineum, discomfort after ejaculation, pelvic fatigue, or a lack of satisfaction even after release. Sometimes it feels like you didn't fully empty your bladder even though you just urinated. Sometimes it's a pulsing ache that comes hours later. Often there's no visible sign, just a sense that something feels off. And this is exactly where the opportunity lies. If you catch these signals early, if you respond with awareness rather than avoidance, you can make small, powerful changes that protect your health for years to come. But when ignored, these symptoms can spiral into chronic conditions like pelvic floor dysfunction, non-bacterial prostatitis, or even erectile challenges that no supplement can solve. Listening to your body is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's not paranoia, it's prevention. And if you've experienced any of these sensations even once, let them be the nudge you didn't know you needed. Because your body wants to heal, but it needs your cooperation. What's even more surprising is that many of these early symptoms don't start in the prostate itself. They often start in the surrounding muscles, the places we clench without even realizing. And that brings us to one of the most overlooked habits that quietly drains the prostate day after day, even when you think you're doing nothing at all. 6. Masturbation. Frequency is less important than technique. One of the most common questions I hear from men, especially those who are trying to take their health seriously, is, how often should I be masturbating? They ask it with genuine concern, sometimes with a hint of shame, as if they're hoping for a number that will make them feel normal, or safe, or less alone. And while that question comes from a good place, it's built on a misleading foundation. Because the truth is, it's not how often you masturbate that matters most, it's how you do it. We live in a culture obsessed with numbers. Steps, calories, hours slept, minutes meditated. So it makes sense that men apply the same logic to their sexuality. They want to quantify it, control it, optimize it. But your nervous system doesn't measure your health in frequency. Your prostate doesn't count. It feels. It responds to patterns of tension or relaxation, connection or avoidance, presence or pressure. I've treated men who masturbate once a day and have perfectly healthy pelvic function, no discomfort, no stress. I've also seen men who only touch themselves once a week or once a month, but do so in ways that are rushed, tense, emotionally disconnected. And those are the men who often show signs of pelvic floor dysfunction, chronic tightness, and prostate irritation. So the real question isn't, am I doing it too much? The question is, what is my body experiencing when I do? When masturbation is used as an escape or as a way to numb emotion, or when it's approached with tension, guilt, or performance anxiety, it leaves a residue in the body, not just in the muscles, but in the nervous system. It subtly trains your physiology to associate sexual arousal with stress and shame instead of safety and softness. That kind of repetition, even if infrequent, sends the wrong message over and over again. But when approached with care, intention, and relaxation, even regular self-touch becomes not only harmless, but healing. It becomes a way to regulate your nervous system, to release built-up pressure in the prostate, to create a rhythm of safety and comfort in your own body. It's not the act itself that causes harm, it's the energy you bring to it. So instead of counting days or obsessing over frequency, start paying attention to the quality of your experience. Are you relaxed? Are you breathing deeply? Are you fully present or just trying to finish as fast as possible? Is your body at ease, or are you unknowingly clenching, rushing, disconnecting? That shift from performance to presence is what your body is truly craving. And yet, even for men who begin to reclaim a healthier rhythm with their bodies, there's still one often ignored piece of the puzzle that can make or break your long-term prostate health. It happens in the moments after climax, the part no one talks about, but your prostate never forgets. Let's explore that next, because skipping this one small habit could be setting you up for years of unnecessary discomfort. 7. You're training your nervous system with every orgasm. Every time you climax, whether through partnered intimacy or masturbation, your body remembers. Not just the act, but the state you were in when it happened. Your muscles remember. Your breath pattern, your emotional state, your focus or lack thereof, they all become part of the internal script your nervous system writes and rewrites with every orgasm. And over time, this script becomes your baseline for sexual function, arousal, and even emotional regulation. The truth is, orgasm is not just a mechanical release, it's a full-body event governed by your autonomic nervous system. That means it's deeply connected to your subconscious, your emotional patterns, and the safety or tension your body holds. If you're climaxing regularly in a state of tightness, rush, shame, or mental detachment, your body begins to associate pleasure with pressure. The nervous system learns, this is what arousal feels like: tension, clenching, urgency. And so even outside of sex, that becomes your default setting. I see it all the time in men who tell me they feel off and can't explain why. They're not in physical pain exactly, but their orgasms don't feel satisfying anymore. They feel drained instead of relaxed. Or they develop strange habits, holding their breath, bracing their core, clenching their pelvic floor, without realizing that these things aren't helping them perform better. They're locking their bodies into stress. Over time, these unconscious patterns rewire your body's entire approach to sexuality. They affect your sensitivity, your ability to maintain an erection, your control over ejaculation, and your relationship with your own pleasure. And they absolutely affect your prostate because that small gland is embedded in the heart of your nervous system's sexual circuit. The prostate is sensitive not just to pressure, but to emotional energy and physical tension. It suffers silently when sex becomes a battleground instead of a sanctuary. But there's hope in this, because just as the body can be trained into dysfunction, it can also be retrained into healing. You can teach your nervous system a new script, one built on softness, breath, awareness, and safety. And it starts with how you show up, not just in the act itself, but in the lead-up, the intention, and the recovery. When you choose presence over performance, curiosity over control, your body begins to respond in kind. Orgasms feel fuller, recovery feels easier, and your connection to your own body becomes something you trust again. This is the power of nervous system awareness. It changes everything from the inside out. You don't need pills. You don't need to be better. You need to feel safe in your body again. That's where healing starts. But what happens after the orgasm, those first few minutes when everything quiets, matters more than most men realize. Because in that window, your body is vulnerable. And there's one small habit that could make all the difference in protecting your prostate from chronic irritation. Most men skip it. Let's make sure you don't. 8. Don't wait for pain to start protecting your prostate. One of the most heartbreaking moments I experience as a urologist is when a man walks into my office with regret in his eyes and tension in his voice. He tells me he's been feeling something for a while now, pressure, discomfort, fatigue, but he waited. He told himself it would pass, that it was nothing, that real men tough things out, and now sitting across from me, he's wondering if it's too late to undo the damage. I don't blame him. We've been conditioned to ignore our bodies until they scream for help. We're taught that silence is strength, that unless something's broken, we should keep going. But the prostate doesn't work that way. It rarely shouts. It whispers. In tightness after sex, in a dull ache in the groin, in a subtle shift in urination. These are not inconveniences, they're messages. And when ignored, they become symptoms. When symptoms are ignored, they become conditions. But what if you didn't wait for pain to change? What if you saw listening to your body as an act of strength, not fear? Your prostate is one of the most sensitive, responsive organs in your body. It's not just about sex or aging, it's about connection. And like any part of your body that thrives under care, it needs attention before it needs intervention. The truth is, the best time to protect your prostate is when it's still functioning well. Prevention isn't about paranoia, it's about respect. And respect looks like changing how you touch yourself. It looks like breathing instead of bracing. It looks like emptying your bladder after intimacy. It looks like asking, "How do I feel?" and actually listening. These small choices seem insignificant in the moment, but they are everything over time. When you build this relationship with your body, one rooted in patience and presence, you start to notice things earlier. You stop brushing off discomfort as random. You stop mistaking tension for toughness. And you begin to heal in ways you didn't realize you needed. I've seen men reverse years of chronic pelvic tightness, improve their sexual vitality, and restore their confidence, not with surgery or pills, but by shifting how they relate to their bodies. That kind of healing is possible, but it starts long before a diagnosis. It starts when you choose to care. So if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. You don't have to be in crisis to deserve change. You don't have to break down to begin healing. You just need to notice, to listen, to respond, not with fear, but with intention. Because there's one more piece of this story left, one final shift that could not only protect your prostate, but elevate your entire relationship with pleasure, connection, and long-term vitality. It's the habit almost no one talks about, mirage, but it might just be the most powerful one of all. Let's talk about that next. Your prostate has protected you. Now it's your turn to protect it. Your prostate has been quietly working for you your entire life. It's never asked for recognition, never demanded attention, and for most men, it's never even been part of the conversation until something goes wrong. That's the way it often goes, isn't it? We take something for granted until it begins to fail us. But what if you didn't have to wait for that moment? What if you chose to protect this vital part of your health before the warning signs arrived? The truth is, your prostate isn't just a reproductive gland. It's a reflection of how well you listen to your body. It's shaped by your habits, your stress levels, your emotional presence, your breath, your tension, and your relationship to pleasure. Every time you clench, rush, disconnect, or push through, your body takes note. And every time you soften, slow down, and become present, it heals. Prostate health isn't about fear, it's not about shame, age, or medical charts. It's about reclaiming your relationship with yourself. It's about learning to tune into the subtle signs, the tightness that lingers, the discomfort you ignore, the habits you repeat without question. It's about being willing to grow out of old narratives that told you to stay silent, to perform at all costs, to measure manhood by control instead of connection. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to undo every mistake in one night. But you do need to begin. Because once you start treating your prostate like something worth caring for, not just fixing when broken, you start creating space for healing across your entire life. That healing ripples outward. When your body feels safe, your mind calms. When your nervous system relaxes, intimacy deepens. When you stop rushing your pleasure, you begin to feel more of it, not less. You show up in relationships differently. You carry yourself with less anxiety, more clarity. That is the quiet strength of a man who knows how to listen inward. If you've read this far, you already know this matters. Maybe because you felt the discomfort. Maybe because you're afraid of what might happen if you don't change. Or maybe because something deep inside you is tired of pushing through, tired of disconnection, tired of silence. That part of you is right. It's not too late. In fact, it may be the perfect time to begin. Start with one change. Breathe deeper when you touch yourself. Pay attention to tension in your hips. Be honest about what you feel after climax. Get curious about your habits instead of hiding from them. Begin there. Your body will notice. It always does. Because your prostate is not the problem. It's the messenger. It's asking for care, for softness, for presence. And the good news? You have the power to give it exactly that. Your healing doesn't begin at the doctor's office. It begins with a choice, a quiet, powerful choice to treat your body not like a machine, but like a home. Let this be the moment you stop waiting. Let this be the moment you start protecting what has protected you all along.